Endure and survive is a tagline associated with the comic book series Savage Starlight from The Last of Us's in-game universe. That phrase alone could be used to summarise the theme and overall goal of the game. Survival is after all a huge part of the gameplay, and almost every single design choice was made in such a way that complements this theme. In this game's universe, every decision a character makes is for some sort of survival, whether it be a selfish one to postpone their own death for a short while, or a sacrificial play to save someone they care about. Humanity has long been past the brink of destruction, and over the course of the game we see that the need to survive is still as important to people as it's ever been, if not more so. As is an increasingly common choice for many forms of entertainment in the zombie and infected genre, The Last of Us is a story about people in a zombie apocalypse as opposed to a thriller wherein the zombies are the main focus. It rides high on the theme of humanity being the thing we need to worry about, and while some may call it a cliche to even use this as a backdrop for a story, it's an idea so rich for milking that right now I don't really see it as a problem. After all, the most interesting thing about zombies after their first decade or so in pop culture wasn't the monsters themselves anymore, but how people dealt with and reacted to them. The Last of Us's decision to set itself 20 years after the initial outbreak offers far more opportunity for fleshing out this idea than it perhaps could have had it been set over the course of the first year or so. We're provided with a look at how humanity has progressed or even devolved since its collapse, as well as glimpses into what life had been like in the stretch of time we don't see. This is all handled either through dialogue between characters discussing it, usually with little detail but enough for us to gain context.
Mandatory evacuation. Evacuate to where?
What do you think? Quarantine zone. See, some places got a heads up before the infection showed up. Most didn't.
Man, must be hard. Just leaving all your stuff behind like that.
That ain't the hard part.
Or through collectible artifacts. Hidden throughout the game's environments are various artifacts. Journal entries, notes for other survivors, maps, voice recordings and other such sources of information all serve the purpose of fleshing out the world around Joel and Ellie, and in some cases tell short stories of other survivors. One of my favourite examples being Ish, the man who took to the sea only to eventually be forced back onto land much later. He found a community of survivors, helped them prosper, watched many of them die, escaped with a lucky few, and then like much else in the game his ending is left unwritten, and we're free to think about what he might have gotten up to after escaping the sewers. When you start to take into account the lengths that other people had to go to in order to keep themselves or their groups alive, it's clear that we're meant to see the similarities in their stories and what we play through as Joel and Ellie. Whether it's through mentions of scavenging for supplies or even a simple scene to demonstrate that people can and do kill others, not just the characters we play as.
Oh shit, get down, get down.
These similarities stretch as far as the game's human enemies as well. They too are doing what they can to survive, and simply because we play from Joel's perspective doesn't mean that every person we kill was placed in the world to kill us. And while we rarely get a chance to see it, they also have their own lives and their own communities, and to them, killing other survivors might be their way of trying to protect what they have. And if killing was evil in this game's world, by the end Joel would be a physical manifestation of the devil. Every character in the game resides in an intentionally morally grey area. No single character is inherently good, just as none are overtly evil from an outside perspective. Even a cannibalistic potential paedophile is doing what he thinks is right for his group, and he goes to great lengths to keep a little girl he barely knows alive. A little girl who could down the line help keep his people defended and even aid with repopulation, even if he may have tried to kickstart that a little early.
Oh.
Every character you meet has the same end goal in mind, and it's a goal that you yourself as the player share. Overall, I feel that as what many consider to now be a part of the survival horror genre, The Last of Us has the survival aspect bolted down tight. It's obviously an important gameplay element, as should be expected, but it also serves as an important motive for the characters and enemies within the game, helping the story and gameplay feel more like two parts of one whole than simply a game with cutscenes that serve no purpose other than to drive a disconnected story forward. Thanks for watching, and please let me know what you think.